Welcome to our first project of our second grading period. This week we'll be working on a project I call Color Wheel City. Our first part is we're going to be drawing the city. These are some examples of what your art might look like at the end. So feel free to look at some of these examples and see what kinds of buildings they've added to their artwork, so you can get some ideas of what you might want to put in your city. Some of them are very simple. Some of them are a little bit more complicated and have some different types of buildings and things you might find in a city. And as soon as these are done, we'll get started on our project. First thing you need to do is just take a piece of scrap paper. I just found an old coloring sheet here, and I need you to fold it into a square. And how you do that is by making a triangle shape from one side. So folding it over, and then you'll have a triangle with a piece that's kind of off the flap, and you can trim that off, or you can just measure the sides of a piece of paper until you have a perfect square. This is something that I do so that I can make sure that my paper is a square and I don't have to measure. It's up to you. You're going to take that square now and a piece of drawing paper, and you're going to use that as a template to create another piece of paper for your drawing that is a square shape. So just trace that one edge and cut off the leftover. Now we're not done with that scrap piece of paper yet. You can do this next step, or you can find a plate or something large that will fit inside of that square and use that as your circle template. But if you don't have something like that, here is how you can make a circle template. You're going to grab that piece of scrap paper and you're going to fold it back into that triangle shape that you started with. Okay, then you're going to fold it into another triangle, making sure that your point is at the same side each time you fold, and you're going to keep folding it into triangles, smaller and smaller triangles, making sure that the point is at the same edge of the triangle. That point never should change, it never should be turned into something else. Then you're going to make a curved line, slight curved line on the end after you've gotten it to where it looks like here, and you could trim that edge off. Unfold it, unfold all your triangles, and now you should have a circle. Pretty close to perfect circle there. Once you got your circle, again, you can do this with a plate or something else that's round and trace around it. But if you can't find a plate or something circular, then you can always make your own circle template. To make that circle, that's the outside of your city. Now you're going to need some type of a straight edge. I used a ruler. If you don't have a ruler, you can use a piece of cardboard, piece of scrap junk mail, one of those flyers that's hard cardboard type. Anything that's a straight edge is fine. You're going to divide your circle in half. This is a color wheel that we're going to be making, and the color wheel will also be a city or in buildings. Then you're going to kind of find where the halfway point is between that line. I use my ruler, but you can do this, eyeball it and visualize it. Draw a dot there, and now you're going to make an X right through that dot. So you're going to make two diagonal lines, one across that way, line it up, so make sure that that ruler or that straight edge goes across that dot, and divide it again. So basically you divided the circle in half 3 times. Doesn't have to be perfect. Not all buildings are the same size or the same width, so don't worry about it if it's not the way you expect it to look. Make the buildings that are narrow more narrow then. Okay, so I just picked something brown I had. It's a little bottle here that I found, and I'm just going to trace that around. Okay, I'm doing that because in the center, that's where the sky is going to be. Your perspective here is you're down on the bottom at the street level, and you're looking up into a busy city. So I want to leave an area in the middle of my paper so I can see the sun and some clouds and some other things that might be in my city scene. So I used 2 different circles. If you want to just use one, that's fine. But I want some buildings to be tall, some buildings to be a little shorter, and that will help me kind of get the tops of those buildings. My first building is going to be a tall, like apartment building, and it's going to have windows all on the outside of it. So I'm just making some lines to show these windows. This is the easiest building you can make. So you're going up and down lines, and you're making the lines go across. Now I'm making them kind of curve in the same direction as the curve that I used on the middle of it, so that it will all be parallel, because think of the top of a building, the windows and the doors and all that, they're all parallel lines. Erase that circle so that I don't forget that that's going to be an area of sky, and I don't want to have any lines in there when I'm done. The next building I decided was going to be a building that had individual windows, and so I'm just kind of trying to create something a little bit different, putting some antennas and some machinery or things that you might see on the top of a building. You can be creative with what you put on yours, and then I'm adding some little windows. And remember, since this is a perspective drawing, we're imagining that we're on the ground and we're looking up. The windows that are far away up by the sky are going to be small. The windows that are down low at the end of the circle, the outside of the circle, are going to be larger. That's where we are viewing it from. So those are a closer up view of a window. So from the middle, small, to the outside of the circle where they're larger. And then I'm just going to imagine that this building is a hospital. Think of things that you have in a city, and then try and create that in your drawing. Put a little H on the top here to indicate a hospital. Later I can add more details if I want. You can add whatever kind of building you would like to see in your city. It can be a place in a different country, in a different place in the world. It could be an imaginary place. So you can be as creative as you want, or use things that you know that you've seen around town. This is a bridge that I'm having in mind. And I have the fencing there, and then some of the areas where they're cut out in this iron or metal bridge. Water's going underneath my bridge, and then some more cutouts. Now this is going to be a color wheel city, so when I get started coloring next week, I'm probably going to want to leave the bridge area for my blues, because when I think of water, I think of blue. So just something to kind of keep in the back of my mind. And as I move, I'm going to erase the lines that are above whatever I'm building or drawing. So the hospital, the apartments, the bridge, because that center part, all I want to do is leave that for the sky, for clouds, things I might see in the sky, an airplane or something. And my next one is going to be some townhouses. So this is going to be a residential, or an area where people might have their homes, individual homes or townhouses, and they're each going to have different kinds of windows. If you wanted to, you could have just a single house in an area, maybe put some cars nearby or a driveway, or it can be any kind of a home that you would like it to be. Adding some window details and some doors. And a little chimney. I have a place for Santa to come in on. Okay, erasing those lines so that I will not have anything up in the sky area. So far we've got an apartment or hotel, hospital, a bridge over some water, a little townhouse neighborhood. So, something that we haven't put in there is a store. So, think of a store that you might see in a city or in your neighborhood. And the first one I could think of, I wonder if you can guess. Did you guess right? I picked Target. I think there's a Target in every city I've ever been to. I'm putting some big windows because I know I see big windows that show off some of the stuff that they sell in some of these stores. Some shopping carts. And then I know they've got those big round spheres in the front of their buildings. The ones they're painted red. They're like balls. Details I put on the window, some reflection, a sale sign. And now for my last building. Something that I need if I'm going to go shopping is a bank. And this is going to be a large bank like I might see in a big city. Very tall. It's the tallest building that there is here. It's because they have all my money. And then I'm just doing those simple windows just by going across it. Adding a couple doors. And erasing the very, very tip top. Leaving that free and open for my sky. And I'm going to add a sign so people know where to go for the banking. And my bank is Bank of America, so you can put whatever bank you want to put. Money sign. I don't think they really have that, but I don't remember what the picture is that they have for their logo right now. And there's a little ATM. Get your money out. The last thing I'm going to add is things I might see in the sky and some sunbeams. If I'm looking straight up, although I shouldn't be looking up in the sky, but it's imaginary. So some clouds, the sunbeams, and some birds up in the sky. If you want to add something else, you could do a kite or an airplane. So next week we will come back and discuss how we're going to finish